Welcome to the Cooking Leprechaun. Today we're going to be doing empanadas, and it's my first week in baking class. So we have to reverse back to the last week of my class where we made fried chicken and onion rings, and the grade, you guessed it, another 100. So we're going to dive right into this. What I have is some bread flour, some cake flour, lard, salt, and some warm water. We're going to sift the two flours together. And I do it twice because obviously there's some that didn't sift together very well. And I'm not using a normal sifter, I'm using a fine mesh strainer that works fine, and it just lightens up the flours and mixes them together. And I have found that no matter what you do, whenever you use flour, it has to go all over the place. So there's the first sifting. We're going to go to a bigger bowl because we're going to have to mix everything in it. So back into the sifter. And we're going to put that aside. Next, we're going to take the lard, and this is where it gets nice and messy. We want you to get your fingers in it, and we're going to pinch with our thumb and our forefinger the lard and the flour together to get it mixed together. And this takes a little bit of time. With the lard. And you can just feel it like mushing in between your fingers, and it's drying up, and it'll come together and be little flour and lard crumbles. Yes, I am ambidextrous at mixing the flour. All right, and let me show you a picture of this real close. I'll lift it up so you can see it. It's pretty well incorporated. All right, and then what we're going to do is instead of pouring the salt into the mixture, we're going to pour that into the water. It's warm water, and I'll swirl that around. And we want to get it to dissolve. So once we get it dissolved, pour it into our mixture, and again get our hands into it and just work the dough. And it will stick on your fingers and stuff like that, but as you get it worked in, you can get it off of your hands and stuff, and it'll start clumping into a ball. Just mix it a little bit more. Once you get it pretty well mixed, I like to bring it out of the bowl and put it down on my cutting board. And get this out of the way. Kind of start working a little bit so we can try to get it to You guys weren't invited to my pasta class. Actually, that was before I started doing the tape. And you have to knead that dough for like 15 minutes. And it's pretty intense and very tiresome. So this one you don't have to work as much. You just want to get it so that it's smooth. And I think we're about there. All right, ball it up. And get me some plastic wrap. And we're going to let that rest for 30 minutes. Off to the side. Okay. So while we're waiting for the dough to rest, we're going to make the filling for it. And for my class, they had just a basic cheese and a pepper filling. And I wanted to go a little bit more exotic because, of course, I like meat as well. So we have the base is just cheese. It's Monterey Jack cheese. And then I have a chicken breast or ground chicken that I'm putting in. And the ground chicken I browned it up with cumin, ancho chili powder, and some salt and pepper. So basic stuff. Just wanted to give a little bit of spice to it. So there's the chicken. Next I have a roasted red pepper, and basically I use that, the broiler in my oven for the roasted red pepper. This is a roasted Anaheim chili. And then a couple roasted jalapenos. And when you do the roasting part, you'll get it charred. Just make sure that if you're using your broiler, to pay attention to it. Check it every like 30 seconds or so. And once you get done, you're gonna peel the peppers, peel the skin layer off of it. And I found that it's easier to do that if they're still warm. Not like right when they come out of the oven and they're hot, but let them cool off for about a minute and then start doing that, because I made the mistake the first time I made this and I waited for a long time, and it took me a long time to peel the skin off the peppers. But basically that's the filling. We should be about ready for the dough in a couple more minutes. We have about 5 more minutes before the bread will be done, so that we can, or the dough will be done, so that we can start flattening it out, so we can cut out the shapes that we need. I was gonna give you information on a type of sauce. You can go get the canned sauce if you want to, or you can make your own. For my class, we made a Salsa Verde, and basically you take 13 ounces of tomatillos that are canned, or if you cannot find the canned ones, then you can get fresh ones and roast them in the oven under the broiler. You need about a half an ounce of onion, 1 clove of garlic, and a half bunch of cilantro. You'll throw that into a blender and squeeze the juice from 1 lime into it. Blend it all up until it's to your consistency that you like. Then in a pan, you're going to heat 1 ounce of vegetable oil and get that heated up. And then you're going to pour your mixture into that pan and let it come to a simmer. And you want it to just thicken up. So it'll take about 5 to 7 minutes for it to thicken up. Once it's done with that, you're going to go ahead and remove it from the heat, taste it, and do salt. If you choose a little bit more salt into it, do salt to taste. And that's your Salsa Verde. All right, the dough is ready for us to roll out and cut into our shapes. And our shapes are going to be round. Now, in the class, what they had me do is you weigh your dough, and then you want to cut the dough in equal sections. So you have to weigh each piece, roll them into a ball, and then set them aside and cover them again for another 30 minutes. Well, I'm going to try something different. I don't think I'll get in trouble for this, but I think that it would be easier to roll out the whole thing and then use a cookie cutter or something like that to get it to the shapes that we need instead of having to worry about all this other stuff. So we want to get to 1/8 of an inch thick. I think we're about done. I think that looks good. All right, some different tricks that you can use. Some of us don't have cookie cutters or anything like that. Like I have an egg mold. I wanted to go about 4 inches diameter because the last time it seemed like it was too small. Or you can use a glass, anything that you can get a circle out of, and then you just want to get it as close as you can and cut your piece. And of course you want to get as close as you can so that you can get all that dough. You can use a lot of the dough. And so there's 3. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to cut these out, and then we'll be back in just a minute. You can shut it off. All right, now that I got all the shapes cut out, the circle shapes, I got 10 out of that amount of the recipe that I made, and we're going to do the fillings now. So I have a little small thing of water, a brush to brush the water on for me, a spoon just to put the filling in, and then a fork to crimp it with. So just basically you're going to take the water, go around the side, and that's going to help it stay together. And take your filling, and you're going to put it to one side. And we'll make sure the filling is not on the edge there. And then you're going to roll it, and I like to use my fingers to tuck it in there a little bit. Make sure that the edges are going to meet. All right. Then you take your fork and you're going to crimp it. Now you can cook these a couple ways. You can bake it or you can fry it, and both the temperatures are exactly the same. So frying temperature is going to be 375 degrees, and the baking temperature is going to be 375 degrees. Both of them, it's not a set time. You have to monitor it until it turns a nice golden brown. I baked them the last time I made them, and it took a little bit longer than I wanted it to brown up. So today I'm going to try something a little bit different. Again, another change to the school ingredients. I'm going to try spraying the top of the empanada with a little bit of butter spray and see if that'll help with a little bit of good flavor and helping it golden up better. All right, and we'll crimp this one. There's 2. Okay, I have one more left to do, and then it'll be time to bake these bad boys up, and then do the taste test. I think we might even have another taste tester today, if we can con her into doing it. I will tell you that this is very tedious on making little food. I prefer like a huge brisket. I can work with that a lot easier than I can these little foods. But we'll roll it over there. There we go, the final one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put it on a baking sheet, parchment paper lined. Get a little bit of spray. All right, then we'll put them in the oven. Okay, so now I have my taste tester set. I have my wife Lori and my daughter Jalen, and we'll see if the old lady and the teenager test will do it. So go ahead and try them. I got a thumbs up from the teenager and a thumbs up from the wife. So we did it again. All right, we'll talk to you next week.